whoever's gonna watch this. As you know, I've been playing FireEmblem Echoes. I beat the game on hard classic mode, and my overall assessment of the game is I wish when you have to take on a certain class, like a knight, a archer, or a dredge fighter, which is like Shredder, or mage, or clergyman, which is the white mage. I wish those classes, for some certain classes for Fire Emblem Echoes, you could carry 2 weapons. Like you could use 2 weapons instead of just 1. Because I've noticed that knights don't always use just 1 weapon when they're riding on horses. They're usually using a sword or a shield, and not just a spear. And I'm kind of surprised that certain classes you're only allowed to use only 1 weapon in that class. I can understand for the archer because you have to carry a bow and ride a horse at the same time. But for a knight, I'm surprised that you can only carry a shield and a spear. That's it. That's what Spartans are usually classed as. Spear users and little sword users. But for the most part, the game is excellent. And the one drawback I have is I wish, again, I'll state this again in my video, that this game only allows you to use 1 weapon at a time. I don't understand the logic behind that. Like, I wish for the main characters you could either use your ultimate bow and your ultimate sword, not just 1 sword and just a regular bow. And I've noticed that over the course of playing Fire Emblem Echoes that this game has that flaw, because they made it like that. But I wish you were able to switch between your ultimate bow or your ultimate sword, or if you had the option of using both weapons instead of just 1 weapon at a time and just a regular generic bow. I wish if you were able to use a bow, except for when you're on a horse, which is the bow archer. With that exception, you could only use a bow when you're on a horse. But when you're actually on foot and you're when you're playing as the main character, you should be able to use both. Link uses both. I mean, he doesn't have restrictions on one or the other. He should be able to use both on any given turn. I mean, for Fire Emblem, that was the only problem that I've noticed in all these character developments, that the knight could only use a spear. Sometimes I don't understand why the knight class, the cleaver class, only is allowed to use a spear. I don't understand that. That does not make any logical sense to me. When I actually look at this game, I don't understand why we're only allowed to use one weapon and that's it. You should be able to use one weapon, a shield, or something like that. You shouldn't be constricted to use just one. I can understand if you're on a horseback and on a horse and you're actually using a bow and arrow. But that's the only class I can see why they only allowed you to use one weapon at one time. At any given time. Just that one weapon. And for the Spartans too, I know their main weapon is the spear, and that's the ultimate form of the knight. I don't know why they chose the knight class to be a Spartan class. And for the cleavers, those look more like knights, but they're not able to use a sword. They're only allowed to use a spear in this game. I don't understand that. And honestly, I've noticed that the only time you're able to change back to a farmer is when you're a dredge fighter. And the dredge fighter's final form, believe it or not, if you haven't played the game already, he looks like Shredder. Okay? The guy from Ninja Turtles. Like, depending on what color you pick depending on what the color of your character is, they will take on the characteristic of that color for their ultimate form for the dredge fighter, which is a Yashu or whatever it's called. I think that's how it was pronounced. A Yashu, which is a ultimate ninja looking form. Like, he kind of looks like Spawn. Honestly, my closest characteristic that I could relate it to is he looks like Spawn, because and his movement for that dredge fighter in his ultimate form, depending on what character you choose, they're the best thing. I wouldn't say they're the best. I would say they're the best at dodging incoming attacks. I'll say that much. But I wish those guys, for dredge fighters, were also more able to use other variety of weapons too. Like, they could only use a sword. I'm like, okay. But not that I'm complaining, because that's what ninjas use, but still, I wish those were more open to more special attacks that they could possibly use. Maybe I haven't looked at that dredge fighter thoroughly, but I wonder if you could actually change the character back to a villager if you maximize their level cap for that character. Because I don't know how that even works yet. I know for the villager, for the dredge fighter, if you transform it to a dredge fighter, it could change back once you hit for the dredge fighter at level 20. But I wonder what will happen if you upgrade it to its maximum potential and downgrade it to a villager. I don't understand how it's going to be done, because the only items that will allow you to do that is that there's little pitchforks that will turn you back into a villager in the game, and that's only with DLC content. So I gotta go into more thorough detail within the game, because I played that game for twice. I played the game 2 times already. One at 104 hours and 15 seconds or something like that, and the other playthrough, my best playthrough, which I accidentally deleted again, was 188 hours, almost 200 hours, a little bit under 200 hours, and I beat it twice. And all I was hoping for this game, for the next game, I hope when they make another Fire Emblem game, I wish when you make a class, you should be able to access 2 different weapons, except for when you're on horseback with a bow and arrow. That's the only class that you shouldn't be able to use 2 different weapons, because you're already doing 2 things at one time. And I'm surprised that it wasn't set up like that. And I apologize for taking so long to do this video, because it's been about 2 weeks since my last update, or yeah, 2 weeks. But I've been playing this game by Nintendo and trying to understand what the ins and outs are of this game, because it's not like I could actually stream it. Honestly, this game is good for what I got it for. Honestly, this is the only game I've been actually playing. To be totally honest with you, I've stopped playing my PS4 because there's nothing coming out for it until, for me at least, until Dissidia. And I don't really like playing with my PS4. All I use this thing right now for is a streaming device. And I'm sorry about my camera too, because you see my camera thing on the TV screen, so I apologize for that, but I'll fix it later when I can. But as of right now, and I wish there was more. Also, I missed one minor detail. For this game, I wish there was more drop chances in what items you get, because I spent the first 50 hours trying to find, the second time I played it, trying to find my old weapons, like my rusted sword that turns into a venom sword. Yeah, a venom sword which poisons your enemies in the in the game. And I tried to, but I wish those kind of weapons would appear more frequently. I would say that's the other drawback of playing this game, because the chances of you finding a rusted item without going into the game is very rare, because the probability, I think, is about 5%. And I know why they want you to do that, because they want you to farm coins and stuff. Which I don't mind playing it again for 200 hours, but after playing this and starting all over as my third attempt, I'm going to have to say, because I accidentally deleted it twice, this happened to me twice, my next playthrough, I'm definitely gonna try not to delete my playthrough. And I missed something to begin with, so I had to delete it anyway, because it wouldn't. I missed one of the renown points that you get in the game, but I managed to almost collect 90% of everything in Fire Emblem Echoes. I missed quite a bit, but I think I collected about 90% of what they had in the game. I actually got all the time wheel things, and I wonder what it actually does, because I don't have the amiibos for that function. I wonder what it actually does if I actually buy those 2 amiibos and put it on my time wheel, because I don't even know what that does yet. But I would like to find out eventually when I've never wanted amiibos this much, but for Fire Emblem, I will state that I actually want amiibos, because for Fire Emblem and for what's the other game? Xenoblade Chronicles for my 3DS that I bought a couple years ago. I want to actually see what it actually does. But I would have to state that it's gonna take me a little bit to play Fire Emblem Echoes again. This time I'm gonna actually pace myself. But I could actually finish Fire Emblem Echoes in about a week. I've noticed that now. I clocked it within a week. I finished the actual main story within a week. The other tower that you get at chapter 6, I could finish in about an hour. Yeah. I think it took me about an hour to actually go through the tower and beat all the stuff they had in that tower. But in retrospect and overall, my favorite character was actually playing as Celica, because she wasn't limited to just using one thing. She was limited to using one weapon, but her secondary usage was magic, so she wasn't construed by using either a bow or a sword. And that's what I gotta complain about for the main character. If you're gonna give the guy a bow as a secondary weapon, you should be able to pick what weapons you upgraded and use those, and use whatever sword you want to use. Just like Zelda, you're not constricted by any means for using just one weapon. You can only use them one at a time, but you don't have to switch periodically between the two every single time you go through a battle or something like that. You could change the weapon on the fly. You don't have to, like, periodically, like, do I want to use this or do I want to use this? You're not construed by that. And I wish this game had that function, because if you're going to give the main character the bow to use as a secondary weapon, then you should be able to pick between your sword or your bow. And same with if he was carrying a shield, because at the very end of as extra stuff go, I'm gonna do spoilers now because I played it twice. You can only carry one thing at a time, like the shield. If you're holding the shield, what the game does, it lets you hold a regular sword. I don't like that. And also, when you learn all your skill set for certain weapons and stuff, you should be able to keep those. It shouldn't constrict you by only using those one or two skills that function actually has. Like, after you learn the regular skills from the regular swords or whatever, you should be able to use all your skill sets in what you've learned. Or at least 5 skills. Because apparently the ultimate weapons only have one ultimate skill set. So you should be able to use all 5 of the ultimate skills in every category of your bow, if that was what they wanted to actually do for Fire Emblem Echoes, because that's what they should have done. Because for the bow, I like using every skill that I could possibly have. I don't think you should be able to limit yourself by only 1 skill or 3 skills. Unless that's part of the game. Unless that's part of the weapon set, which all weapons for every single weapon, including your upgrades, should all have 3 skills. Just like the main character's royal sword has 3 skill set. Subdue, what was the other one? It was double lion thing, and then it was what was the other one? The ultimate. I can't think of the name right now, but that weapon had 3 skill sets. I don't know why the bow only has 1 ultimate technique, or just 1 technique in general. I mean, after you upgrade, you should not forget how to use those skills if you already taught them to an individual character that already has those as their skills. I mean, for Fire Emblem, I understand it's Nintendo and they try to make it challenging for you and stuff like that, and it's very tactical anyway, but still I would like to go back and use all my skills that I've learned with all my weapons for 1 single sword or something like that, if they're all sword techniques. I mean, I'm surprised that the Fletching sword or the Falcon sword, or like, if you played the game, you know what I'm talking about. You're only allowed. Surprisingly, it only gives you 1 weapon, but it has 3 different skills that it learns on its own. But I'm surprised that it only has your ultimate technique that you learn from the Royal Sword in the game as your ultimate move or something like that. Because when I was upgrading all my characters to their maximum potentials, I'm kind of upset that the Knight class turned you into a Spartan. Out of everything that I know about Knights and Soldier classes, I'm surprised that turns you into a Spartan. Out of everything. And Knights are not able to use swords if you're on a horse. I was kind of upset with that too. You should be able to use a sword and a shield of your choosing, not just a spear. I think spears are, in my opinion, a sissy weapon. I think people who use spears like the 300 without using their little knives are sissies. I mean, I was surprised when the Spartan class was only allowed to use a spear, but they have the ultimate defense. But that's not true. The Dredge fighters have the ultimate defense, in my opinion. Because I played that game thoroughly for the last 3 weeks. For the last month, I've been playing that game thoroughly. So I know what the ins and outs are of Fire Emblem Echoes. I think what I'm gonna do when I actually play this game a third time, because I'm waiting for a Final Fantasy Dissidia for PS4. I'm gonna try to get everything that I possibly did in my previous save file, but I know I cannot do that. Because for some reason, when I played it the second time, I was a man on a mission. I was like being possessed by... I was determined to get almost everything. But this time, I'm not so sure I'm motivated enough to actually get everything. But I'll do my best. But I didn't know that Fire Emblem, that this game would have done this to me. Because the last game that ever did this to me was Deus Ex Human Revolution. I know I'm talking about Nintendo, but I also got to talk about Square, okay? This is... I'm fine. This is what I do. I talk about Square, and not to mention, I played that Deus Ex 3 times. And the only downside to that game was the crafting parts. I wish you were able to break down what weapons you don't use and were able to transform them into what you needed for supplies for certain things in the game. But that's a side note. What else do I want to add to this? If you haven't picked this game up already for your 3DS, if you're a tactical strategist or a RPG junkie like I am, I suggest you buy this for your 3DS. Because it has a lot of gameplay, even if when you think about it, because experiment with all the classes you could possibly have in the game, because you're gonna be blown away by what it will actually teach you, and stuff. So in my opinion, it taught me a lot of tactical strategy, which I thought I was already good at tactical strategy, but for a 3DS game, this game took over my life for at least a month. And it still is. I would even have to say, I enjoyed playing this game, which I'm currently playing on my 3DS, better than I do Pokemon. I'm sorry, Nintendo, but Pokemon Sun and Moon didn't do that whole I got lost in the gaming experience, but it used to when it was not using stupid Mega Evolution or using Dragon Ball Z terms like Supernova. But I don't know if I'm gonna ever pick up the other Fire Emblem games, because I still gotta pick up Project X Zone too. So I don't know how my characters are gonna turn out this time, but as my third playthrough progresses, because I played this game so much that I'm gonna take my time with it, and honestly, I wish, on top of that note, also, I wish Fire Emblem was also on the Switch. I will definitely pick up a Switch then. I'm already got myself a pre-order for the Switch, even though I don't have one. I'm already going to pick up Mario Odyssey, because it's Mario. So everybody likes Mario, so I'm gonna pick up that game for if I get a Switch eventually. But I'm surprised. I'm not too keen on what Sony says to me. Like, their tagline all the time is "Greatness awaits." Where is it? Like, I'm still waiting. I'm gonna probably jump to the Xbox One. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna do either. I'm gonna jump on the Switch just to have it, and I'm gonna jump on the Xbox X, whatever it's called, Z or whatever. I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon, because Sony's practically not coming out with nothing. They got God of War, which I'm not too keen on, but ultimately that's what it is. And I think I'm done for talking about Fire Emblem as of right now, because I've done everything I possibly can except for finishing off Chapter 6 in my last playthrough, because I actually deleted it. I wish there was a better way to retrieve old delete save files from from the archives if you accidentally deleted them in Fire Emblem, because all that hard work that I did went down the drain. But I'll do it again, just because I have nothing else to play. Oh, me? I like RPGs. I like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, but I wish Fujin was in Mortal Kombat 10, but he's not. I'm kind of sad about that. But let's see. I play Final Fantasy. I wasn't too keen on how the print. I think I'm out of Final Fantasy 15 or 13. I know everybody didn't like 13, but I actually liked 13 better than I liked 15. I guess because when I saw lightning, it was refreshing to me. When it comes to how Final Fantasy does girl characters, because everybody from the male side of Final Fantasy looks like Cloud. Everybody. I don't care what iteration it is. 12. This main character was boring to me. But I think 15 took too long, and everybody was like saying it's gonna be awesome, it's gonna be versus. I was really hoping that it was gonna be versus instead of 15. I wish they actually had lightning in 15. That way I could make sense of the whole. I could justify it being versus. But when they changed it to 15, the title to 15, I'm like, nope. Let's see, what else? What other games do I play? I played Deus Ex. I play Sword Art Online, but I play mostly RPGs, and the only closest thing I'll go to a shooter aspect, to answer your question before I log off, is Metal Gear Solid 4. That was the only thing that I will have to say that will get me close enough to shooting games. I don't play Call of Duty. Because I don't like guns. I like swords. If I'm going into a grudge match with going into battle and stuff like that, I'll use a katana. I'm not gonna use a gun. I'm not gonna use no grenade launcher or something like that. I'm gonna use a sword because that's that's the honorable thing to do, and it takes a lot of skill to use a sword. So I'm gonna, because I imagine myself as that samurai ninja in gaming, because I physically can't use a sword because I'm disabled. So I imagine myself as the main character in gaming to visualize that fantasy of mine. I'm sorry if I'm boring you, the last person that left that comment, if you're still there. But that's about it for me. For this video, because that's what I wanted to talk about. Thanks. And I'll try to, from now on, I'll try to upload I try to upload every day, but lately I know I haven't been doing that because I don't know why. I've just been preoccupied with stuff and I have to catch up on life, so I try to do updates every day or whatever I want to talk about during that time frame. But I'm sorry that I haven't uploaded anything past this point. I'll try to do better though. Well, I'll be signing off now, and maybe I'll be back tomorrow if I'm not preoccupied with playing this some more, or I'll probably stream when I'm gonna actually play on my PS4 for that day. Well, I'll see you guys later.
Text to speech unavailable here. Text to speech unavailable here.